show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's October 6, 2021. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day. And Matt, today, let's start with our analysis of the Miami offense, because I have a question to ask you. What in the world has happened to Rhett Lashley? I mean, a year ago, we're celebrating this new look Miami offense, the up-tempo spread, the wide-open type of attack that everybody's been yearning for so many years. And there were times when it was really, really, really good last year. This year, it's kind of struggled a little bit.
Yeah, and by the way, not to preclude what we'll talk about, but I can't wait till we talk about our defense analysis, because I remember you told me Manny Diaz should absolutely be the coordinator. It's a great move. And I said he should just be the head coach and bring in a difference coordinator. But let's table that. But I want to make sure that you don't forget about that.
Wait, I thought I read on the message boards that it was all Blake Baker's fault.
Oh, my God. Listen, we'll talk about that when we get to the defense. All right, so the offense, yeah. I mean, look, I don't blame Rhett Lashley. I really don't. I mean, his system's fine. I think he's a hardworking coach, hardworking recruiter, too. He's a really good rapport with these kids. I blame it entirely on the offensive line, personally. If this offensive line was any good, I don't think that Rhett Lashley would have a problem. The offensive line is killing him. If he made one mistake, it was in thinking that the offensive line would be better. I made the same mistake, and I'm always right. So, you know, everyone's wrong once in a while. I don't know what happened to Garen Justice. Highly regarded offensive line coach. Somehow he thought that DJ Scaife was naturally a tackle. Totally mistaken. Didn't have a real backup plan. Put in Justice Oluwaseun as the number 2 guy. Quickly moved him back to guard. I mean, it's almost like he doesn't understand his own personnel. That bothers me a lot for a coach who I always thought really knew what he was doing. I don't understand it. The offensive line recruiting has been abysmal. You know, if they get Malik Agbo, then I'll take that back. But like, I don't understand how the offensive line can get worse. He's the coach. How do your guys get worse when they're all back for another year? How do you wind up with Jared Williams on the bench and then all of a sudden you're starting right tackle again? I mean, I can go on and on. They've had the same lineup twice all year, and that's the last 2 games on the offensive line. So, you know, I don't know if he wants to blame injuries. You know, I know Corey Gaynor was banged up a couple of games ago, but like, it's that's the problem. I know receivers are dropping passes. I know Will Mallory is not involved, but they've tried to get him involved. It's the offensive line to me. I mean, that's the bottom line.
I agree with you. It starts with the offensive line, but it extends way beyond that. You know, I mean, Will Mallory hasn't been the same player.
But if the offensive line was good, that would mask everything, you know?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe because they'd be more effective doing some other things. I mean, receivers dropping balls don't help. But yeah, the offensive line got the quarterback killed, and De'Ara King is hurt as a direct result of that. So no doubt about it. It starts with the offensive line and has just extended from there. Let me just throw out some numbers here for everybody to sort of chew on this morning. These are Miami's offensive rankings, okay, in relation to the rest of the country. If you remove the aberration of the Central Connecticut State game and just go with App State and the games against Alabama, Michigan State, and Virginia, okay?
Everybody make sure you're sitting down.
Yeah, make sure you're sitting down for this, seriously.
You don't want to...
We're talking number 114 sacks allowed per game.
Out of 130, I think, by the way.
Correct. Number 113 penalties per game. Number 109 scoring offense. Number 104 red zone offense. Number 103 turnover margin. Number 101 tackles for losses allowed. Number 99 rushing yards per game. Number 97 third down conversion. Number 93 total offense. And then number 52 passing yards per game, because of how much they're having to throw the ball, not because the passing offense has been so phenomenal. So it's pretty bad, okay? And, you know, it's something that is going to have to improve if they're even going to be competitive in these games coming up against North Carolina, NC State, Pittsburgh, 3 teams that can light up the scoreboard. And, Matt, with the Miami defense, you know, sort of up and down so far this year, they're going to need to score some points in these games if they're going to be in it in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, but I mean, they looked good against Central Connecticut State. Let's face it, they look great that game. So I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's bad. It's bad. So if I'm Rhett Lashley, I'm rethinking everything because I mean, now he should know he's got a problem up front. And when you know that, it's different than what he's been trying to do. I expect, him to go to, I know they like to take their deep shots, but he's not going to have a choice. The quick passing game, the slants, move in the pocket. Like there's just only so much you can do. These runs with Cam Harris up the middle and between the tackles are not going to work. They're just not going to. He has to know that by now. And so to me, you bring in, Jalen Knighton stretches the boundaries and let him try to get to the outside, do something different, get Knighton the ball, have him run some routes like they did last year and things like that. Get him the ball in open space, one-on-one, hopefully against a linebacker passing the ball. But I just don't think this line's going to hold up if they are trying to throw the ball down the field coming from behind. And they've got a lot of problems. I don't know how you fix it with a bye week. From what we've seen, it's like, it's like when you draft a fantasy football team, right? When you draft your fantasy football team, you always think your team's great because you got the guys who were probably high up on your list. And then the first game, you think, okay, I got 40 points. I lost by 80 points. Well, it was an aberration. Second game, you lose again by 80 points. You're like, well, the guys are just figuring it out. Third game, fourth game, you're still losing. Then you're like, okay, I got a problem, and you start making your transactions. And that's where Rhett Lashley is now. He's making his transactions and trying to figure out, is there different personnel that I can draft, quote unquote draft, pick up off the waiver wire, whatever it would be in fantasy football terms. And then, and then you just got to try to change something because what you're doing isn't working.
All right, so they're gonna have to figure out some way around their offensive line problems. No problem. I mean, no doubt about it. And I'm not quite sure what that answer is going to be, but we'll see as it goes forward. I think they have to run the ball less in short yardage situations for starters because when they get predictable, it all falls apart. So, we'll see what happens. All right, we got a couple really good recruiting stories this morning for you as well that I think you're going to find interesting. The first is on Miami Pace defensive end Shamar Stewart. He's one of the top prospects left on the board, no doubt about it. Back in June, it looked like Miami was doing great with him. And then with each passing month, it's kind of, I guess, dissipated a little bit. And now, even though he was at the game Thursday night, I'm not sure that was a positive, Matt. And but the most incredible news of all for Miami, I think, is being reported this morning in this story, in that it's sounding like he may not make a decision until next February, which, if there is a coaching change at Miami, that would give a new coach time to get in with him and recruit him and potentially, keep him as a Hurricane. So, I think that's a great development in the story this morning. And we give you a pretty detailed update on what's going on with Shamar Stewart. Another update on Isaiah Horton, wide receiver from Tennessee. He's going to be coming down for the North Carolina State game. He says everything's still status quo with him. Miami's problems are not swaying him. So that's a great thing. But with a kid from out of town, Matt, I think you always got to be on guard.
Well, they're all from out of town in this class.
I know. You got to be on guard with all of them.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've been reaching out to commitments left and right, during the bye week, and a lot of them are thinking about taking visits, but they're not yet. So until they actually set up these official visits, then it's time to get concerned because Manny's whole thing is you can't take visits. Like committed is committed. That's when you gave your word. We're not looking at anyone else, and you're not looking at anyone else. Like that's the deal. And when one or two or three of these commits start taking visits and the other commitments see, hey, they're taking visits and Miami's not dropping them, then the whole thing falls apart. So this is right now being held together. What's the phrase? By a string and a something. I don't know. But, we'll see what happens. Like it's in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we're going to know a lot more about if this class is going to stay solid, if they're going to be adding more kids, or if this thing's just going to unravel.
All right, we got a couple basketball stories for you on the site today. Jim Larinaga had some detailed conversation yesterday about the basketball team and how they're progressing in practice. The coaches are quietly very confident about this basketball team and the new players they've brought in. They're shooting the ball incredibly well in practice. So this could be a year where Miami basketball starts to bounce back from the struggles of the last couple of years with the FBI investigation. I should say the bogus FBI investigation. We also have a story with Sam Wardenberg, the center who was injured beginning of last year. He's back for this season and has also been looking very good in practice. So we give you an update with him. If you missed last night's CaneSport live show, the podcast is on the website this morning. And a program note, tonight, 8 o'clock, the Lamar Thomas Show returns with a whole new lineup of guests and a lot of interesting conversation about the current state of the Miami Hurricanes. So we hope you'll join us for that this evening. That's going to do it for today for Good Morning CaneSport. For Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. We thank you for joining us. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you next time.